ask myself, is this real? Is this freaking real? I feel Shelly put a knife into my back. Is this real? Is this really real? Someone please tell me how this is my life. Come on. Tell me this isn't my life. Vanessa and James, please stop telling lies.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Unfiltered Feedsters presented by the Big Brother Insider. I'm your co-host Nick.
And I'm your co-host Rachel.
And that is our lovely Audrey tribute. One of my favorite scenes that ever happened in Big Brother history. We absolutely do.
Let's just give a round of applause to Nick. That was great.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
We absolutely adore Audrey, and it's sad to see her go because she does create so much drama in the house. But you know what? That's the game. It's a lovely
Thank God
game.
we can breathe.
Yeah, definitely. If all the house guests could definitely breathe now. If you guys are just tuning in, you definitely missed an amazing intro. You don't even know what you just missed. Make sure to tweet us at Unfiltered Feeds. Write down in the comment section below. Let us know how you feel about, what happened this whole week. Of course, this whole week's going to be about Audrey. So let us know how you feel. Also, hit us with the hashtag at Unfiltered Feeds. Rachel, what a crazy week in the Big Brother house.
Let's just start off with Thursday's episode. Thursday, Jeff got evicted. And speaking of Jeff, if you didn't see, we interviewed him Thursday and posted it last night, so don't forget to check that out. That's a really good interview. We had the HOH. It was a seven non-house guests came in, did this dance routine, and then they left, and then the house guests answered questions about it. Shelly and Liz won HOH, and the BB takeover this week was 90s week. And Sunday we had Noms and Battle of the Block. Liz nominated James and Jackie, and Shelly nominated Jason and John. John was not throwing the BOB this time. Believe it or not, it's a shocker. John was not throwing the BOB. Jason and John, it was the BOB was 4 different parts where you had to go find keys. Jason and John got all the way to the 4th part where they had to smash supposedly styrofoam pumpkins and get keys out of the pumpkins and bring them back to unlock this girl. And they got all the way to the last section, and then they got held up on the pumpkin smashing, so James and Jackie were able to catch up and ended up winning. Liz then was dethroned as HOH, and Liz, John, and Jason, for losing the BOB, had to form a boy band called the Backstreet Boys, which the Backstreet Boys reached out on Twitter, and the house guests got to see that on Thursday's episode, and they freaked out. It was so funny. And Shelly is the final HOH with Jason and John as the nominees.
That brings us into Wednesday for the veto. Saved by the smell. All right, so veto players, we had James, Shelly, John, Jason, Vanessa, and Meg. This veto competition couldn't have been set up any better for Jason to come off the block. We had our winner, which was Vanessa. If you guys did miss it, it was like last year's competition with the bombs blowing up. And Vanessa said that she was going to originally throw the competition, but then she changed her mind. She said she wanted the power. She wanted to have her hand in something. She went out into this competition stone-faced, ready to kill it. I have never seen really a house guest like that before. That's gone in cold stone, hit it, got it, hit it, got it, hit it, got it. It was honestly, I was blown away. I'm holy shit. So Vanessa was our winner. Later, Vanessa did make a deal with Jason saying that she'll take him off the block. And this all led into Shelly bringing people up to the HOH and stuff and being able to get Audrey onto the block. So veto ceremony happened. She used it on Jason. Jason came off. Audrey went up. Of course, Audrey didn't show up to the veto ceremony, which we'll get to that and bitch about that later. And then Thursday's episode, Audrey was evicted. She did have a penalty vote. they had an HOH competition, which was knockout. Rachel and I did figure out that it would be knockout because they're kind of following the same thing as last year's Big Brother. And it was the knockout. First HOH was Jackie. The second HOH was Vanessa. Jason was heated about it because Jason did help Vanessa study. And she went head-to-head with him and took the win. So he was pretty pissed off about that.
Well, not only did she not take the win, but she paired Jackie and James against each other. And James was practically throwing it. Therefore, she basically handed Jackie the HOH instead of putting Jason and James against each other and handed Jason the HOH.
Yep. It was definitely an interesting HOH. It definitely kept me on my edge, like the edge of my seat. And I'm literally like nail biting. And I was on the phone with Rachel. I said, we're just like, what's going on? Oh my God. It was definitely, it's one of my favorite things every week to like get that state of panic and seeing who's going to win. I really did want Jason to win, but I do think that a lot of good is going to come out of this HOH week.
Hopefully so. Y'all stay tuned for next week's episode and y'all will see.
All right, let's get into some game talking and rants.
Oh, goodness. Game talk. It's all about Audrey week. So, all the game talk is going to be about Audrey. So, Audrey had a fight with Clay, Vanessa, and Shelly in the HOH room, which was crazy because I was like dead asleep and Nick calls me and I hear screaming in the background. And so I'm like, oh my God, they're fighting. What's happening? And so I jumped up and turned the feeds on really fast. And it was all of them up in the HOH and they were arguing because like Audrey was basically saying stuff about Shelly and Clay. And she was denying it, saying she didn't say it, and that Vanessa was the one that said it, and Vanessa did this, Vanessa did that, and Vanessa started going off on her, which they didn't show on the episode, which kind of made me upset because that was the best part was when Vanessa started screaming. And then Audrey was like, I swear on my life, and Vanessa's like, don't ever swear on your life in front of me. Like, do you not value your life? Like, what is up with that? And she basically called her out on all her lies. It was pretty interesting to watch for sure.
I definitely think the whole Audrey and Clay fight has been, slowly boiling and leading up to it. Ever since they came to the house and Shelly and Clay had gotten together, it's been Audrey being the third wheel all the time. And not only that, Audrey making comments to Clay like, oh, you should be backdoor. You're going to get evicted. And Clay only has been putting up with it because of Shelly. And this week he's had enough. Like he was done. He snapped. And there was no way of telling him otherwise. My favorite part that they didn't show on live TV was that when Clay went up to the HOH room, Audrey did follow up right behind him, and she tried to come in the room, and he was like, I'm talking to Shelly. And then she's like, I just need to talk to him. He's like, no, I'm talking to Shelly. And they shut the door, and she was in the sky lift, whatever they call that thing now. Yeah, and she was just sitting there, like waiting to come in. And they didn't show that on the episode, which I thought was really funny.
It was quite comical. It really was. Then we have Audrey then went to James and Jackie and spilled the beans about the Sleeper Cell Alliance. Well, what the crazy thing about this was literally right after she left the HOH, after that whole fight, she goes downstairs and James and her were in the have not room talking for the longest. And she told him about the alliance with her, Shelly, Clay, Vanessa, Austin. And that was the only alliance. Like, those were the only people in the alliance. But she added Liz in there, which that ended up being a lie because Liz was not in the alliance. So she kind of lied about herself there. And people were in the house, like, noticing that Audrey and James was in there. And they're all like, well, why is James talking to her for this long? Like, what the fuck's happening? And then Jackie and Vanessa were talking at the same time in the cabana room. So the second that Jackie got out of the cabana room with Vanessa, James went and got her and pulled her in because Audrey wanted to talk to her. So then she told Jackie everything. And when James and Jackie came out, Meg went to James and was like, what were you doing? Like, why were you in there? So he started telling Meg, and then Clay walked in the comic book room as this is happening, and he asked Clay about the alliance. Clay doesn't deny it, but he also doesn't say we were in it or whatever. So then it basically got brought to the whole house that Audrey was talking about everybody, and they kind of had like this like Bond saying, you know, we're not going to believe anything that she makes up because at this point it's probably all made up. And James was like, well, there's always a little truth to these lies that Audrey is spreading. So they didn't really believe her, but they kind of wanted to, but they weren't going against the house. So
She's so convincing.
Yeah, it's scary how convincing she is. Like, literally, I will start believing it the longer that she talks. Like, I start believing it. And I'm like, I know this isn't true, but I'm still going to believe it.
Exactly. I literally have to change the camera. I'm like, wow, I can't believe they did this. And then you sit there and you're like, wait, that didn't happen. And the fact that she is able to sit there and like almost like start turning me, I'm just like, I have to switch the feeds because obviously something's not right here. But what baffles my mind is how she goes from having this like fight in the HOH to go downstairs and expose everything just right after the other. I feel like if she wanted to do that, there could have been a better plan to execute that.
Oh, and the funny thing that we forgot to mention was that while she was talking to James, she wanted James to go up to Shelley and get Shelley and Vanessa against each other. But Vanessa had the POV. So it was kind of stupid. Like, she was going against the person who had the POV and had to choose between keeping the noms the same or using it, and the person who has the HOH, which if the POV got used, the HOH would be naming the replacement. And I'm like, that's basically signing your ticket for eviction.
Honestly, it is.
Which, I mean, at that point, she didn't really have another option, but still, it's kind of like, what the heck are you doing?
I just think as everything went along, she just started losing what was going on here and there, and she wasn't able to formulate a plan because it's like, oh, I'm caught. I'm actually stuck in like
plans were falling off the rails.
So next up we have there was a house meeting with everybody, but at first it was only a handful of people.
Well, the plan was to bring a few people up at a time, and the first 3 people was James, Meg, and Jason, with Shelley and Clay, and maybe Vanessa was up there. I think
she was up there.
So it was them 6 up there to begin with, and then Jackie came along. Do you want to say what Jackie did?
Jackie, Shelley said just bring up a few people. Jackie goes downstairs, gathers the whole house except Audrey, comes upstairs and comes to the HOH room. Everybody files in, and Shelley's like, I told you to get a couple of people. And Jackie goes, well, I brought in the only people that mattered. The whole fucking house.
Yes, the whole entire house.
And this whole conversation was based around, all right, if Shelley puts Audrey up, is everybody going to back her up, and is everybody going to, vote her out and not like have sympathy for her and give her the vote? And everybody wholeheartedly said yes. Put her up on the fucking block and get her the hell out.
Yep.
And then they installed a buddy system that if you're in a room with her and you know you're about to go into a room with her, bring somebody with you so she can't try to turn you or anything. And it was funny all week long hearing, buddy system, I need a buddy.
But the word, like, I kind of wish that, I mean, I know it sounds bad, but I kind of wish that plan was able to work more. But with her staying in the have-not room the whole entire time, it wasn't, like, really workable because the only people that she spoke to were the ones who came and checked on her, or the ones that went into the have-not room to sleep, or the ones that went to the have-not room because their clothes are in there.
I mean, I felt it so disrespectful when Vanessa put everything aside. I'll give you a little back. You guys know that Audrey was in the diary room for an extensive amount of time. And what really started pissing me off was when she came out and like Vanessa had grabbed a hold of her or whatever. No, I'm sorry, she didn't. That's a lie. Audrey had woken up Vanessa out of her sleep. And Vanessa invited her into her bed, which is Audrey's old bed. And Vanessa was trying to calm her down and talk to her. And Audrey wouldn't give her anything, wouldn't talk to her about anything. And Vanessa literally sat there and said, like, what can I do for you? Is there anything I can do for you? Like, and she even like did like, she even took her out of like the game. She was like, just think of this outside of here. Think of the planets, think of that. Like she did everything she could to take Audrey out of the game and have her focus and calm down because she was so hysterical.
I think it was like 3 hours that she was in bed with Vanessa.
Yeah.
At least 2 for sure.
And it was just crazy that she wasn't talking to her or anything. And then at one point, like Vanessa said to her, honestly, Audrey, you're going to have to do what you have to do. Because she wasn't getting any response for her. And she was saying like, basically, if you're going to self-evict, then self-evict. Because there's nothing that we can do for you if you don't want the help. When the whole time, all Vanessa was trying to do was get her to calm down and help her out. And I honestly feel at the end of the day with that situation, Audrey literally just wanted to bed.
Well, not only that, but Audrey did it because she was trying to manipulate Vanessa into like feeling bad for her and not use the POV, because that was the only reason. Everybody was saying that's the only reason why Audrey's crying in Vanessa's bed. She could have went and got in bed with anyone to cry about or cry to, and she chose the person who's holding the POV. That's not like that. That was on purpose. Didn't just happen that way. That was on purpose.
She had enough of time in that DR to plan out what the hell she was going to do next, even if it was successful or
I
not.
think it was like 2 or 3 hours in the DR the night before the veto meeting on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And then Monday we had the 5-hour DR session. Jeez, I can't speak today.
And then we had gotten wind that Liz had to sit in a car for 5 hours while Audrey was in the DR.
Yep. After she left the DR, Liz and Julia switched. And Liz was telling Austin that she had to sit in the car with her driver for 5 hours until Audrey left the DR so they could switch.
Didn't she say something like she was watching movies or something like that?
Yeah, she mentioned that they told her to just watch movies. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having somebody sitting in the DR for like 5 or 6 hours, and then you have a whole twist that's been put on hold because you have this one person that is going through it. And I understand, like, I'm not cold-hearted to the fact that Audrey was going through something. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that play into everything that happened and went down. Absolutely. But it's just like, what else is there for? What else is anybody going to do for you? Like, people came and checked on you, but towards the end of everything that's happened, we see you with your head against the wall trying to listen to what's going on in the comic book room, which she found out that Liz was a twin by doing that. She was able to come out and try to blow up the twin spot by putting on a wig and holding one of the cards from the cabinets in the storage room. And she comes out and she goes, "Sister!" And basically like says like she's a twin.
And tries to out Julia. Like, she calls Julia up there and tries to out her. Like, it was the most awkward thing. Well, first she exits the storage room and goes, "It's time for a takeover." And everybody's just like, what the fuck is this bitch doing? Like, no one knew what the hell was going on. Everybody's like,
trying to warn everybody, like, she's up to something. Something's about to go down.
Yeah, like, it was quite scary because we were sitting here like, is she like literally mentally okay to be in the game? Like, that was my concern, because at one point I think it was Tuesday night, she was in the have not room. She gets out of the dentist chair, she paces back and forth in the have not room, and she's literally just pacing and breathing really heavy. And then she goes over to her dentist chair, grabs her water, takes a few sips, and then grabs her blanket, the one that Nick has, or something like that. And
it's actually the same color.
Like, I'm tweeting it the whole time, and people think I'm trying to be funny. And I was like actually concerned for her as a human, because it was very scary to watch. And after she put her blanket around her, she continued pacing back and forth. And then she like bent over her dentist chair like she was going to throw up, but she didn't like throw up or anything. And then she got up, she started pacing again. Then she bent over and had her like elbows on her knees, and she was very wobbly. Like, she couldn't stand still. And then she went over to the third dentist chair, and she got down on her knees like in a praying position up against the dentist chair. And then she just fell over underneath it in like a fetal position. And I was like really scared. Like, I thought she had passed out, but she picked her head back up, so I knew she didn't pass out. But it was very, very weird.
It was definitely a scary situation, because something like this, somebody shouldn't have to go through alone. And I do understand that house guests were there for her. But even just seeing what they showed on the feeds, it was very nerve-wracking, because you don't want to see somebody go out of the game like that. You don't want to see somebody shown on television the way, like, you don't want to be like basically as a coward, or you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah. I do feel like she did have the house guests, some of the house guests behind her checking in on her. Yes, some of the house guests were done with her, but I think there's a time that you can try to separate game from real life, and Audrey did have a struggle with that.
Well, there was no separating. Like, she literally, it was Audrey game 24/7, which isn't a bad thing, but when you're around people all the time, you literally have to cut the game out and just be a human being for once. Like, that was Audrey's downfall. I'm for sure that she just could not cut the game out.
And even when people were having, like, when they were doing events or they were playing games or something, she had a hard time even trying to tune into that and like play around with it. Like, we've seen Audrey a couple of times in the house be funny, be herself, and we absolutely loved it. She's an hysterical person. I really think that, you know, if she was able to build up a more social game and, like, check in with people on more of a personal level, I do think she could have gotten far in the game.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just sad to see that everything trickled down the way that it did. And even her last couple of days that she couldn't have been like, hey, guys, you know, I know shit was fucked up. I did some fucked up things, but, you know, can we move on from this and can we have a good time?
Yeah, I wish she would have done more of that and less of sitting in the room, just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Like, that would be greatly appreciated.
It's definitely sad. While you guys are watching, make sure in the YouTube comments or tweet us, let us know what you think about the whole Audrey situation, what's your thoughts and stuff like that, so we can, like, read them and get some more conversations flowing with you guys. I would definitely like to say, if Audrey ever does watch this, or, you know, whatever, I would like to say, you know, you did try. You definitely were one of the people I was rooting for, not just because of your story, because you were like, when I saw your interview, you were like the head bitch in charge. You were ready to come in and start fucking slicing people's throats. I was really excited for that.
I want to go ahead and address some YouTube comments. Para, I see you. I want to give a shout out to her. She talks to us all the time. Definitely our new favorite person. And of course, we're in an alliance, so she's kind of has to be our new favorite person. I see you in the comments. Ryan asked, where's Rachel when the whole thing started? I'm here. I just let Nick do his thing, and I had to put myself on mute because I was laughing so hard. Mama Rowe, we see you. Yes, your son is crazy. Let's see. Para also said she was surprised they didn't air the big HOH meeting. I'm also surprised they didn't air it too. But when you think about it, it kind of seems like everybody band together to get her out. And I don't really think they wanted to air that because it kind of seems like everybody was bullying her in a sense, even though they weren't. Like, they love her as a person, but it's the game player that they had to band together to get out. If they could have kept Audrey the person, I'm sure they would have. But I was also kind of surprised they didn't air that either. Let's see. James was trying to throw it unsuccessfully. Tana said that. James was trying to, if you're talking about the HOH, yes, he was. I don't know if he was necessarily trying to throw it. I think he was just trying to hit the buttons because he knew he wasn't going to be able to listen to them and guess them. So he was probably just hitting them, hoping that he got them right, and it worked the first time.
Basically pulling his out from last year. I'm pretty sure Zach did the same thing last year, right? During this comp, he was just hitting.
Yes, I do believe Zach did the same thing. George said, how do you go in the diary room while something is happening? I don't, like, obviously you can't go into the diary room while someone else is in there. If something else was happening in the house, the producers are watching that. They're going to see it. They'll cut to Fish on the feeds, and they'll come over the house speakers. That's the only way that they really can, like, communicate if someone else is in the diary room. So I hope that answers your questions.
And also, just to touch on that too, that if you're trying to ask if we can see things in the diary room, no, we can't. We just know from house guests talking and either somebody being called in or watching them go in. And Audrey did disappear for an extensive amount of time, and we did know that she had went into there.
Yes, that's just to get that comments read through. Let's see if we have anything on Twitter.
Can I just say one more thing from Para? Vanessa is so good at these comps. I definitely agree. When Vanessa says she's going to go there and win, she, like I said earlier, she puts this stone cold face on, and she is not taking anybody's shit. She's so focused. And I guess maybe that comes from her playing poker and not being side blinded by, you know, other people trying to egg her on and stuff like that.
For sure.
I definitely do agree about that.
For sure. Let's see if there's anything else. Para also said that I'm assuming she's talking about Audrey, does act on impulse, and Audrey also said in interviews that she's always acting on impulse, and that was her downfall. I agree. She did act on impulse, and it definitely was a downfall in her game. I have not watched any Audrey interviews. I've been way too busy since she got evicted, but I will definitely watch her interview with Jeff. Jeff also has an interview with Brittany Haynes on CBS.com. Y'all should definitely go watch that.
And if you can't access it through CBS.com, go to YouTube and go to CBS Big Brother, and you can watch Brittany and Audrey's interview on there. Brittany's is like 34 minutes, and Audrey's is like 32. I started watching the Brittany one. It's absolutely hysterical. You guys have to go check it out. We'll put a link down below for you.
So let's see. What else do we have to talk about for the week?
I do want to say, yes, this is probably going to be one of our shorter shows because it's definitely Audrey week, and we've all seen all the crazy bullshit that's happened. I want to also throw out there that I find it interesting that Audrey has told all the house guests that once they get out of this house, that you're going to see how everything was. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, we all know that it's not true, so they're going to see the bullshit. But then in another part of my mind, I'm thinking, well, does she actually believe everything that happened is true?
Yeah, like, I mean, at one point you start lying so much that you start believing your lies. That's where the problem came in with her. She started believing some of her lies. So I think that was where her main problem was, with lying so much that she just started believing her own lies.
I definitely think it's kind of crazy that if that's exactly what she thinks, I would love to see her reactions. And that's one of my things I've always said, even to Rachel, that when house guests are evicted, I would love to see initial reactions of what happened on the show. And can we also touch on that they didn't on the live show when she got evicted, that they didn't tell them about the twins? Even though she did figure it out in the house, but I feel like every eviction, it's been like, hey, there were twins.
That was very sketchball of them, for sure.
Very sketchy.
Also, John wants to know our thoughts on Austin and Liz. We kind of touched on that in our last live show, so if you didn't see that, go watch it. It's creepy. It's absolutely creepy.
Can we just talk about last night, though? Austin basically forced upon a kiss on Liz, and she said to him, like, I'm annoyed with you, like, you didn't even try to make it special. One, I had a trash can next to my bed vomiting. I was just like, really? Is this happening? And I can't stand to watch when them two are on the feeds. I don't know how you guys feel. Let us know. Comment down below. It's definitely, it's just no. I'd rather watch Shelly and Clay, and I don't even want to watch that.
Yeah, I definitely like when Julia's in the house a lot more than when Liz is in the house. I really, 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 really hope Austin goes this week, because I don't know if I could handle both of them being in the house. Speaking of Austin, this did happen before Thursday's eviction, so we can't speak on this. Austin told Jason that there are twins in the house and that they're going to come in this week, and that he wants Jason to target, like, their little deal that they made or whatever was for Jason to target Julia and not Liz. So that way him and Liz could be in jury together. And Jason found that absolutely ridiculous and ended up telling Meg. And then they were in the bathroom, like, freaking out. And then they see Shelly going up the HOH stairs. So they call Shelly into the bathroom. They tell her, which she already knew. And, like, she already knew the whole twins' name and everything. And so she's, like, freaking out. Like, her acting skills were on point. And then Vanessa just happened to walk into the bathroom. So they told Vanessa. So all of them are kind of, like, freaking out. Shelly and Vanessa are pissed off that Austin would sell out the twins pretty much just to keep his own ass safe.
Just for his own benefit.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We do have Vanessa's HOH along with Jackie. So it should be a very interesting week.
It's definitely, that almost slipped my mind about the whole thing with Austin trying to get one over on them. I almost forgot about that. We also have in our comments from George, who do you think may win Big Brother? Personally, I would love to see Jason in the final two, and I would also like to see Vanessa. I do think Vanessa is a strong player and good enough to win this game. I really, as what I've seen so far, I do think she's gonna advance far in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she definitely has a chance. And I also I would really like to see Jason win. That's my hope and my prayer. I wouldn't mind Meg or James winning either. That's probably one of my the top 3 I want to win. I definitely wouldn't mind a Jackie or someone or John even winning. Becky, I wouldn't mind any of them because people say that they haven't been playing the game, but in all actuality, every single person in that house is playing the game. They're just choosing their own way of playing. Jackie and Becky was to lay low for the first couple weeks. Jackie pulled a fucking mental comp out. Where did that come from? Who would have ever thought that?
And just as a spoiler alert, watching the feeds last night and watching how she was interacting with Vanessa clearly shows that she's got game in her.
Oh, yeah. Jackie.
Don't just dress cute. She's fucking smart.
Jackie is way underrated in my opinion, especially if you don't watch the feeds. If you don't watch the feeds, you can get them down below. You definitely should get them because they're crazy. This season was definitely a lot busier than last season for sure. I'm hoping with Audrey going, it'll calm down a little, so maybe I can go to sleep a little earlier, but that's beside the point.
This struggle is real, but we love every minute of it.
Oh, for sure.
I definitely would like to see how this week is going to play out now that initially Austin is saying, let's say, the target this week, because he is. I think it's going to play out very, very interesting. And Rachel, should we give them spoiler updates that we know so far if they don't know already?
If you don't know, then you better turn it off right now because we're about to release some spoilers. But first, I want to say, if you're commenting below, leave your Twitter name and we'll give you shout outs right now. So just leave us those Twitter names and we'll give you shout outs. And go ahead with the spoilers.
So, as everybody knows, they played Battle of the Block yesterday. And it's so hard for me to say this. No, I'm just kidding. Jackie was dethroned. Vanessa is still in power.
Which was not the plan at all. They had a plan to James to throw it, and James literally tried so hard and he made it obvious that he was throwing it, and Clay and Becky still could not win.
It was, from what we've heard, it had to have been a catastrophe. We heard that James was throwing it so bad that it was what was it? Was it a spell? Was it a spelling comp or something like that?
Yeah, it was a spelling comp. They had to spell last year's house guest names. I'm not sure what exactly they had to do, but it will be on tomorrow's episode, so we will see then. But
Liz had to literally drag James across and hit the buzzer, which was, I want to see that. I bet it's hilarious. Moving into today, which they played veto, Clay did win the power veto. And he obviously is.
We will keep a secret on who their target is. We won't say who their target is.
But I think you might be able to guess. Comment down below who you think it is.
It's going to be a good episode.
It is going to be a good episode. I kind of I did kind of release who their target is kind of this week, but it's going to be interesting. So guys, definitely tune into the shows tomorrow. Let me see, who do we have in our comments that we can shout out?
Let's see. Tana left her Twitter name at Tana SUZ. Go follow her. Para, she said she lost the video earlier, but her Twitter name is at Revamp World, I do believe. Just go to our page. You'll find her. She talks to us all the time. Let's see. Mama Rose Twitter page. What's her Twitter handle? I don't forgot.
I'm pretty sure it's at Mama Ro, and I think it's Mama Ro 6.
Okay, so at Mama Ro 6, go follow her. George said, I really wanted Jeff to win, but when he left, I got so mad. Yes, Jeff was an interesting person in the house. We did an interview with him, and he's completely different from my opinion in the house.
Definitely.
Out in the real world. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. Let's see. Yeah, Para's video is not working. For what reason, I have no idea. So go ahead and follow her. Give her a shout out. Let's see. Let's see if we have any more Twitter names. I'm trying to think of anything else that happened crazy in the house this week.
I don't really I really think it just came down to everything being about Audrey. Here and there things happen, but you know what? I think most of the stuff is out. We also have our funny highlights of the week.
Oh, yes.
that we can play. Let me just grab them real quick. Today, I feel like today has been just like such a chill day. It's been definitely like an interesting day for me today. And then it doesn't even like, because it's not Friday, and then usually like we get a little nervous before starting the show, and today we're just like, let's do this shit.
Yeah, it's definitely been a weird, like the whole doing an episode on Saturday is so weird.
And next week we'll be back to our regular time. So we'll be back Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to bring you into our funny highlights, which are actually freaking hilarious.
Hashtag trash bag James.
Exactly. Rach, just mute yourself.
Okay.
All right, we're starting, guys.
James said you're not allowed to eat that? Yeah. That's absolutely fair game. No. Please don't say, oh my god!
I know, but some of these hands, like.
Please don't! Please don't! Oh my god! You're James! You are such a trickster! I'm just talking about it. Alright. Sorry, Liz. I love you. Oh my god.
Definitely one of my favorite times in the house. Come back to us, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm about to sit here and talk to myself. Yeah, that was definitely one of the funniest times. And it was like 5 a.m. Big Brother time. So it's like 8 o'clock on the East Coast. And I'm sitting here like, can we just go to sleep already? And then James decides he wants to scare people with trash bags in the storage room.
When
And
you
also-
think nothing else can happen, everything happens.
Oh, yeah. And also Jason, like for days after that, he was like, I'm mad that Audrey tried to pull me in the storage room to talk game to me, because the video was literally like a 2-minute video. Like they were talking game for like 2 minutes. And then Audrey moved the conversation onto the gravy. And that's whenever he just got scared.
Like, oh, the gravy. I love the meat kind.
And then he was like, well, I know there's all different kinds of gravies. I stock gravy. With that, I found that really
gravy. That's freaking hilarious.
Also, the bad edit of the week was definitely the Clay, Vanessa, Audrey, Shelley fight up in the HOH, because they left out quite a few things in that whole like fight that they didn't air on the show. So that was definitely our bad edit of the week. Our super fan of the week, we're not going to have one this week because it's just been a very weird week. If I have to give any super fans, it would be to Para for sure. And everybody that's commenting down below, y'all are our super fans of the week.
Definitely.
Y'all are awesome.
Thank you for watching like with us. We really appreciate it. We know it's a Saturday night on the East Coast, so people are out clubbing and partying. But you guys came.
They don't care about us. They don't care about the Unfiltered Feedsters. They're partying.
I definitely want to say that this week has been interesting, and I don't think it could have, like, I honestly don't think it could have went any better, as the house coming together and kicking Audrey out the door. It did go smoothly, even though she had her like breakdown or whatever. So Audrey, we hope you're all right out there. We want to thank everybody for coming out and watching. You stayed the whole episode. Thank you so much. Sorry if anybody had any technical difficulties out there with the viewing. Just know that this will be up on the BB Insider YouTube. So youtube.com/the BB Insider. Thanks again just for, being a part of this platform and talking game with us, interacting. It's one of our favorite things to do. Make sure to follow us at Unfiltered Feeds on Twitter, because we do 24/7 live feed updates. The only time we're not updating is if our fat asses are eating and we're sleeping. And even then when we're eating, one of us is tweeting.
Yeah, it's definitely an addiction. Don't forget to also follow us on Instagram too. I post pictures on there. And follow us on our real Twitters, which is down below, I think over here. Not really sure, but it's down below somewhere. So follow us on that. And what else do we have? You can follow us on Facebook at the Unfiltered Feedsters. What else? And YouTube right here. Subscribe somewhere.
Subscribe, definitely hit that subscribe button. Also, for like Rachel said, for spoilers and stuff, if you're on the go for like on Instagram, if you're an Instagram guru person, follow us at Unfiltered Feeds. Also, check the bbinsider.com for spoilers and all that good jazz. Also, you can follow at the BB Insider on Twitter for all that good jazz stuff too. We just want to say thank you again. It's been a weird week, a weird episode. It's just like
It's weird. We're weird.
yeah, it's very weird tonight. We don't know why, but I think we like weird.
Of course, we love weird.
We love weird.
We're going to get off here and go catch some feeds. So follow us on Twitter for feed updates. And we'll see you guys Friday for a great episode.
Back to our scheduled time, Fridays at 8, so you better subscribe. See you guys. Thanks for watching. We've been the Unfiltered Feedsters. I'm your co-host, Nick.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel.
Go out there and do something positive, or I don't know, something. Goodbye, guys.